Thank you, Shocks, and hello there.
The angel from my nightmare.
Okay, we've got a couple Blink-182 songs.
Yeah, we were listening
I'm
to
not gonna lie. We're gonna do our best not to quote the lyrics throughout the cast. They might get snuck in. I'm Drakos. This is Caedrel. Big shout out to the analyst desk. Really interesting topic of discussion. Obviously, is this matchup in two teams that are SK obviously need to rise, and Vitality are on the cusp of not being in contention for playoffs. Now, there's still plenty of time left. The teams will have plenty of matches left to play. It is only 1 week of games. But for Vitality, who have been a bit shaky, a bit up and down in the season, every win does start to matter. You need to be able to beat the teams below you, or you will not be making it to playoffs.
Yeah, just like the analyst desk said, they're tied with Excel, they're tied with Astralis. There's only one spot realistically left. If you kind of look at it and you expect G2 to just kind of bounce back like they did yesterday. So it's all up for grabs. 3 teams fighting for it, and a win against SK is almost necessary at this point coming to the second half of the split. There's no more time for growth. There's no more time for kind of messing around. You need to pick up these wins now.
Certainly do. See where they want to focus in the draft, how exactly they want to play this one out. Leader Selfmade, always an easy talking point, but have to respect the potential of the bot lane matchup to get explosive. Jezu was incredible yesterday, but he got absolutely blasted the first time these two teams went toe-to-toe. Crownshot and Lethality Varus doing some work. So we'll see what the focus is going to be, where the teams want to put their priority for now. It's stock, standard, bans, Xin Zhao. Gonna see the Lucian as well.
Yeah, gonna see things like Gwen, perhaps Viego, Akali again, banned away. And we'll see what first pick priorities come through. We have seen a little bit of Varus priority, especially from G2 themselves, so Vitality might want to first rotate that. LeBlanc, an interesting champion. It's kind of risen to priority alongside Lee Sin as a strong early kind of mid-jungle to play for side lanes. We saw it yesterday from XL, didn't work out too much. I saw it in the LCK as well today. And in the LPL, there's a lot of answers to Lee Sin LeBlanc, which is kind of like Lissandra has been popping up a little bit. Aftershock Lissandra, giving you a little bit of a teaser of what to expect. Yeah, but I'm mentioning that LeBlanc's banned, we're not going to see that obviously. But now SK have first pick. Gwen, Viego up, can go for those two. Could also go for things like the Varus, the Ziggs, which seem to be pretty strong right now. And Renekton, of course, quite strong. Set, these are the main champions I'm looking at.
Gwen certainly going to be a good option. Jenax, very often a man who does get counterpick on the SK side, or at least favorable matchups, but they are going to insta-lock this one. Now, Treatz did pull it out in the jungle, one of the few jungle Gwens that we've seen. The champion, not really great ganks, but obviously still a very powerful character overall, and flex picks certainly can still give you an edge in draft. No surprise to see the Viego response, and Vitality taking their time on this next pick. Jungler could be option, potentially another flex to follow the Viego, but instead it's going to be Tristana taking it away from Jezu, putting it into the hands of Crownshot.
You see what Selfmade was hovering? He was hovering Riven Vladimir. Do you remember when Whippo went up against Jenax with the Riven Vladimir matchup? He was laughing and waving at him, trying to kind of taunt him before the game started. So yeah, there's Tristana 4. You'd expect Crownshot. Got a bit bodied by Upset yesterday. He was playing Ziggs, getting doped by Upset. Yep. Fell behind quite hard. Great performance from Fnatic that game. But regardless, they've taken away Tristana now. SK responding with Varus, as expected. Varus slightly hurt, obviously, because Tahm Kench has been taken away and Thresh is a first rotation ban, so have to pair him with some kind of engaged support. We'll see what they opt into now, though, because I think something like a jungler could be a good pickup for them. Lee Sin is up. Gwen's obviously a flex still as well. And it could go towards the jungle. We saw Treatz play it, so maybe they want to keep the triple flex of Gwen, but then blinding support's kind of tricky.
Blinding support certainly would be. Have time. At some point, we'll have to blind something the nature of blue side, but instead, just going to lock in the Leona, secure a powerful bottom lane here. Yeah,
they could just go for a Braum now on 3, just to answer that Leona and get a sort of winning lane. Could also go for a mid laner for leader. There is a lot of mid laners banned out already. If you count Nocturne, that's 4. But the Viego, obviously a flex for him, so I don't think they're going to pick mid lane just yet. And I think that things like Braum could be the best pick. Alistar would work nicely into Varus, because obviously he's a mobile and Leona can't peel for him. But I think picking up support here makes a lot of sense.
It does. And I always like when Labrov is freed up to roam around, to move across the map. Tristana, obviously a very safe champion, has 2 tools to get herself out of sticky situations in the Buster Shot as well as the Rocket Jump. So could see some roaming plays coming in from Labrov. And as you highlighted, very solid into the Varus, a champion who doesn't have any natural tools to protect himself outside of the ultimate. Now the Lee Sin going to get taken away, limit some more of the flex pick potential as well as strong solo laners, because even after the nerfs, we've seen some pretty solid Lee Sin performances.
Yeah, and this Viego is a flex to mid-jungle. I think it's either going to go to Selfmade or Leader's hands, you'd expect. And Vitality kind of banning away junglers, banning away mids, trying to target things where they expect the Gwen not to go. They're expecting that Gwen to go towards the top side. Jenax and Treatz have both played it, but they're expecting it to go towards the top lane. So banning junglers, banning mids, and SK trying to ban junglers here, expecting the Viego's going mid. So 2 flex picks, it's kind of hard to pick and choose what you want to take away, so taking away the strongest champions of what you want to pick is the best idea.
I like it. I like the Silas ban as well. Blue has played it twice already, otherwise once for each and every other champion in his wheelhouse. And additionally, Silas with an Alistar ultimate. We've seen it so many times how incredibly oppressive it can be. Now GP banned again, feels like more protection coming in for Jezu, historically GP, the very big counter to immobile AD carries in fights. Nigh unplayable when the Cannon Barrage comes down on top of you. Selfmade, though, will get his hands on the Rumble. Did play this last time these two teams went toe-to-toe. 3-0-4, I believe, was the final scoreline for him. It was a masterclass performance, honestly.
The thing is, after that Rumble nerf on the W, his win rate dropped to 45 to 46%, and I think that's just kind of... It really struggled when it came to the early game clear. As a champion, it's still doable. Just heard it's early game. If you get a leash and your team plays around you well, it's still a powerful champion in the mid to late game. So we'll keep our eyes on how Selfmade performs. But solo lanes for SK coming in. Looks like the Gwen will be going towards the jungle. Jayce top, probably going in the hands of Jenax. And we'll see what they pick up here. Could be a mid laner, could be a jungler. We've seen only really Caps play Gwen mid. But that's actually going to be a Jayce mid and a Mundo top. So Vitality have full information now. And they can look for some kind of counter pick.
Interesting. Big debate here. Obviously for Mundo, it gets very easy to itemize if there is another AD threat that comes through from the side of Vitality. Rumble can do a lot of magic damage, but as you highlighted already, pretty big win percent drop on this patch. Generally a much weaker champion overall. Still can have big, consistent damage, but going to be hard for him to do it. Now we see another AD threat locked in, and I like it. Given Szygenda the Aatrox, if he can make it work in the matchup, obviously the Darkened Blade going to be a little bit difficult, but with 3 potential knockups, Mundo passive not going to be quite as menacing as it is against some other matchups.
And Aatrox is Szygenda's most played champion his whole career. 19 games on it, has an 80% win rate on the Aatrox. So a lot of comfort in that pick, and he's obviously confident in the matchup up against Mundo. And I expect the way this matchup probably works is Aatrox can just kind of out-heal the Mundo. Once he gets to 2 or 3 items, obviously the Mundo can go for Bramble Vest, and it's probably just going to be a wet noodle fight in the end. But obviously if the Aatrox gets a reset, if the Viego gets a reset, and the Rumble has a good equalizer, team fights are very powerful, whereas on the side of SK, lots of poke. You've got the Mundo, you've got Jayce, you've got Varus. Yes, Mundo not so much of a poke champion, but 3 champions that just want to throw skills at you before the fight even starts. So poke for SK, dive, team comp for Vitality, getting a kill and moving forwards.
Going to keep a track of how each of these teams is able to pull off the compositions that they have brought out today. Getting ready for the first game of the day here, day 2, week 5 for SK Gaming, trying to rise back up after a promising win yesterday. On the opposite side for Team Vitality, need to find this win. They're the favorites heading into this match, and if they want to make good on their commitments to make playoffs and potentially even more, they need to be able to find a win today. They have powerful champions in the hands of some of their most impactful players, but will it be enough? We'll find out. And here we are, onto the Rift. This is going to be an interesting one. Caedrel, now yesterday, Treatz found a decent amount of success with the Gwen jungle. Got credit to him. He and Kire had a lot of very scrappy, aggressive early fights in that game. But I remain, and I say this is not an expert, so this is why I'm bringing you into the fold. I remain not impressed by the CC-less Gwen jungle.
I would agree by taking that argument and adding more context to it by saying, it has very little CC, and I think this champion really, really does well with levels and gold, obviously, high resource champion in a sense. So putting it in a solo laner, it just gets more value. Similar to kind of thing champions like Viego in a sense. You know, you want to get levels. Similar to, let's take Lucian as an example. Lucian mid, why is it so strong? Well, really oppressive 1v1 lane phase, but he does really well with levels. That's why bot lane Lucian is not seen so much. Yes, you can win out on the 2v2, but a low level Lucian is not as strong as a high level Lucian, obviously. So when these champions require a lot of resource in terms of experience and gold, it's just better in those lanes. So I prefer Gwen solo lane. But still very powerful in jungle, really quick clear and really good duelist. And they're going for a level 1 invade.
Yep.
And they're just going to take away Selfmade's red buff.
And one thing that Gwen has, regardless of where she's going, is an incredibly powerful level 1 skip and slash, one of the strongest level 1 abilities for trading against melee champions in the game. Treatz trying to leverage that alongside Jenax, and Mundo's pretty obnoxious level 1 in the sense that he can mitigate that CC just to secure the red buff. We'll see now how Selfmade wants to respond here. Already level 2, already moving on to the Gromp, and we talked about the nerfs, one of the big things, hard to overheat. I think impossible now to overheat at level 1, which makes the initial clear much slower.
And that's why he got a leash. So now this is why I'm slightly worried for the side of Vitality, because Selfmade started blue and he had a leash, which means your bot lane's getting pushed in, which means you can't go to the enemy red buff because both mid lane and bot lane are pushing. You're going to get collapsed on, you're going to die. So we'll see how much Treatz takes away. He's taken away red Krugs now and he's running up for a top lane gank at level 2. We'll see if this works out for him.
Szygenda, quick Umbral dash out to safety, gonna be forced to flash away. Red buff already ticking, Treatz gonna feel good about that one.
Selfmade, after these Raptors, won't actually have any camps up, so maybe he wants to look to invade Treatz' blue buff. He's only level 2, but he should level up from the next creep. Did Vitality not even have information about this invade? I thought that Szygenda actually spotted them out, so I could be wrong. Selfmade actually had no idea that they walked into his topside camps. That might be another big reason as to why he didn't look for the invade, but now he's certainly going to do so. He has no camps up. Leader's trading aggressively in mid. He's going to find Treatz, but he has no red buff.
Blue
towards mid.
has just used this to the skies. He's going to be forced to flash here. The flash forward, the harpoon. They're now going to follow up. The spectral knock connects and first blood for Vitality.
How do they keep getting away with it? Every single game, Vitality get a kill in mid in the first 5 minutes. It's a 2v2 always or a 2v1. Selfmade and Leader pull it off once again. And now Selfmade with that first kill. He should be able to get bot crab as well. He's just kind of sitting in the river waiting for it to spawn. But after that, I think he's just going to have to base. He will be down in camps overall when Treatz clears out top crab and moves down towards bot side. But Selfmade still has a window here where he could look for an invade. His bot lane can contest a push. He knows Treatz is on top crab. He's on a ward. And SK know what he's doing, but he's going to take away Raptors. So he's recovered from the early game.
Yeah, certainly has. Szygenda doing well here in the top lane matchup. Now we have a bit of engage on the bottom side. Level 3 for Lilipp and Jezu.
They're very scared.
Yeah.
SK really scared to go for that all-in. You had the level advantage, you had a good engage, but because Selfmade's bot side and their jungler's top, they just can't trade into them even though they'd win.
Selfmade just got, it looks like Raptors, and he might
red
just go over and get red. This is highway robbery. There's no way. Treatz is going to be furious.
He gave away so many camps, and the reason he did this is because he wanted to secure top scuttle, right? If he went towards bot side, it would be a contested 2v2 for his camps, and he wouldn't secure himself a scuttle, and bot crab would be down. So I can see why he went to top crab, but now you've given up your Raptors red, and the game, in terms of jungle farming, is completely even. Just Selfmade's just got a kill, so dropping the ball there definitely Treatz in the early game. And I think the biggest problem that he had here was what he should have done. He should have done red into Raptors, and then gone through mid into his bot side and cleared up, perhaps. That would have denied Selfmade the chance to look for a counter jungle or get his red buff, and it would secure a level 3 regardless.
And impressive from Selfmade that he not only discovered so late that the red buff was missing, but then was able to turn that into a mid play, into a mid gank with the help of Leader, and then rotate down to the bottom side, take camps back, keep himself in the game. And the difference here is a blasting one compared to an amp tome, and that is going to matter in these early exchanges. So good look for the side of Vitality. Leader, though, taking some risks here. The dash through the knockback. Blue, Treatz flashing forward. Flash being traded. Cannon form comes out. Leader, nice sidestep. They're not going to be able to finish the job.
Yeah, no flash on Blue. We can't flash forwards with the Q flash auto attack. And in the end, Leader's going to escape. He's going to TP back, so he won't lose this wave. But Blue, importantly, gets a push out here. And that just kind of helps out the mid lane wave. He's still behind in gold because of the assist. Still a little bit behind in experience as well. Leader, bit of a risky play there. Almost died. Had to flash himself. Nope. But Treatz also flashed, so not the worst.
Nope, and certainly as mentioned, Gwen, not a lot of CC, so skip and slash and a flash, a good way to get on top of someone with a red buff. Not having either of those available does make it a little bit difficult. And good news now for the Jayce is he does have a tier, will have more mana, can start to trade a little bit more aggressively in these lane with the additional mana source, but still going to be difficult.
Selfmade's going to go for another gank here. This is the second one. If this one works out, his time efficiency is just fantastic. Jenax has the flash, but I don't think he's going to be able to escape from this one.
No passive
leveled up
either, so cannot block the knock-up. Jenax running for his life. That's level 6 ticking, but they might just have enough damage to do this one. Scrap shield coming in. Selfmade going to take it. 2-0 for Selfmade.
Yeah, the level up doesn't even matter. Selfmade just gets the kill, and Jenax flashes. It gets even worse. Now Vitality holding bot. Good knockback.
Knockback, not quite going to take him into the tower, but Lipp's going to be in trouble. It's going to start to fade away. All those bonuses, all those extra resistances, and Crownshot might have got knocked around yesterday, but he's not going to let it happen again today. Picks up the kill on the support.
Vitality just winning out on the whole map, winning out in top, winning out in jungle, mid, and now bot lane as well. So now 3 winning lanes, winning jungler. Everything's in Vitality's hands.
And yesterday, Caedrel, we saw this kind of aggression turn against Vitality. Ultimately, they could not match with so much of what Fnatic was bringing to the table, but it looks like SK maybe not ready for the sheer amount of aggression coming out of Vitality. And the fact that Selfmade, despite, in theory, being put behind with that early red steal, has just been ahead of Treatz on every single play following.
Yeah, 2 quick ganks, double solo kill and bots from the 2v2, and yeah, Vitality bringing the pace to SK. They're going to have to keep up. When you see Fnatic, it's just fighting fire with fire, but right now SK doesn't even have water, so we'll see what they can do to weather this storm. They don't really have that many lanes to play around. Like you said, in the early stages of the draft and in the game itself, Gwen, obviously no CC. The only real setup that they have is through bot lane. So bringing Leona towards mid helps out. So your mid lane 3v3. So you can see both teams hovering around mid for this 3v3. Vitality obviously favored because they're ahead. And they're first ones into river. It's all about this mid wave because mid lane's so volatile. Leader no flash. And Lilipp spots them out.
Selfmade level 6 with the ultimate up. has also the Hextech alternator, so the initial burst damage on whoever he isolates is going to be massive.
Oh yeah, and I think if you're looking at the cross side of SK, the positive lights for SK have been Jenax in lane. But I think if you look at their game yesterday, I think that playing for Jezu and playing for Lilipp is probably what you want to do. I think Jezu had a fantastic performance yesterday against Schalke. He was their main source of carry on the Tristana, and putting resource into him would definitely help them out. The problem is they're kind of losing in the jungle in the mid right now, so it's really hard to transition their lead to bot. Stacking waves like this would always help, but if you can't make a play on them, there's no real value you can get out of them. It's playing poke Varus for now, and SK have a really good poke comp. And I think setting up around objectives is what their main goal is in this game.
Yep, and obviously Varus can be an incredibly powerful champion in general. We've seen the poke Varus gets a few arrows combined with a Jayce shock blast, and it's very easy to win these fights. It's not the same flashy hyper carry style you get used to from the Tristana. It's a bit slower. The moments are more powerful but less frequent, and we'll see if Jezu can land the arrows, if he can find these marks, and potentially if they can get themselves out of this bot lane. Because for now, really want that Leona to be able to roam. Only level 4 for Lilipp. He has been getting out of lane, but as highlighted, one of the big weaknesses of this poke composition is they just don't have a lot of tools to start fights on their terms.
Now SK have one wave in mid pushed in. Treatz is here, but so is Blue. This could be dangerous from Selfmade. They're opting into a 2v3 and Leader has no TP.
We have an early equalizer coming out there. Selfmade not going to flash forward, trying to burn him down. That's going to be Jenax taken out. Szygenda gets the reset, but Szygenda's just going to walk away. Ultimate comes in from the Gwen. He's backing off on this one. Snip, snip, but Treatz going to be in trouble to flash forward. Szygenda gets the reset. Blue, can he knock him back? Does he have the hammer smash? Waiting, holding off,
flash.
waiting for the ulti to fade away. Darkened Blade flashing out.
2v3 and they come out on top. 2 kills for the side of Vitality, and they get Blue's flash. Leader is just sitting alone in mid. He's already up in CS, so SK tried to make a proactive play with a numbers advantage, and they're the ones who lose out.
And it's so big for Vitality to just keep winning out on these skirmishes, almost a 3K gold lead. And of course, you look at the standings, these teams are much closer than Vitality would like to be. SK Gaming at 2-8, only 2 wins behind Vitality. They win here today, their first 2-0 week since the start of the season, since all of these back and forth roster swaps for Vitality. They're trying to hold on. That three-way for tie for 6 is not a good look, is not a good place for a team that has such high expectations for themselves.
Oh yeah, definitely is. And when G2 looking like they might be bouncing back as well, there's only 1 spot left, just like we talked about, so these wins are essential. Again, they're going to base. Top wave's not in a great spot, so Treatz saw him base, going to start up the Herald. They know he has no TP. Selfmade just going to kind of answer with a cross map for the Drake, and Vitality winning out on all 3 lanes right now. They are going to lose the Herald, which is going to hurt them pushing their advantage, but then again, a team with 3 losing lanes with Herald, where can they really place it, in a sense? So they're going to have to commit numbers to place it, and you should be able to find resources on the other side of the map regardless. So we'll keep our eye on how Treatz use it.
Something to track. I've become a Mundo itemization connoisseur over the last probably 36 hours, I think it would be safe to say. Didn't care until I started having to cast him, if I'm honest. But say the item name?
Anathema's Chains.
Anathemas. I want to call it Anathema every time.
I
can't. Okay, Anathema's Chains looks like it will be the first item here. Now, it's a pretty solid item, and the nice thing is if you put it on the Rumble, you can spend the rest of the game building full armor without really getting punished for your choice to avoid magic resistance. That said, if you do opt to put it on the Rumble immediately, your lane matchup is going to be much, much more miserable.
Yeah, but I feel like Jenax should be getting a Bramble Vest soon. This is just a top lane healing matchup. I mean, Szygenda went for the executioners really early on. I'd love to see a Bramble Vest come out of Jenax. Obviously doesn't help him too much out of lane. It does against Viego, of course, but in the early stages against the Rumble doesn't really do too much, so I'm sure he's optimizing towards it with that cloth armor. But for now, it's just a Herald. Treatz his only real option, it looks like, is top. You can see bot lane, 2 plates have already fallen. Blue can't really find Prior without flash. And there's a top wave stacking. This might be Treatz's window.
Treatz can't step forward. Don't have a big wave here, don't have a cannon, but another wave is coming in. Szygenda can try to clear this one, but if he stays too far forward, can use the ulti to get the extra movement speed. Umbral dash not available. Big healing coming in. They're still going to be able to take him out there, and that's going to be enough. This should be the time to use the Herald for SK, and that's what you were looking for, Caedrel. Hard for them to find that opportunity, but Szygenda oversteps.
Yeah, really good play there from Treatz. Goes through lane, knows the wave's in a good state for Jenax, and Szygenda has to kind of all in him to stop it from crashing. Or he has to play safe to wait for it to crash. In the end, he doesn't. He tries to fight Jenax, and Treatz is there to answer it. But like we talked about, Vitality should be able to cross-map. This is my point. You have 3 winning lanes on the side of Vitality. No matter where SK invests resources, you're always going to lose out. So now Leader's TP top to defend the play, and their bot lane's being zoned away. So you have lost a lot of plates on that top tower, but you're going to lose a lot of plates on your own bot tower. And Vitality cross-mapping pretty well. Selfmade just showing himself. He will have to back off in the end because Treatz is behind them.
Rob, that's the knock-up. That's knockback over the wall. And surprise, it is Selfmade waiting in the fog of war just to tick, tick, boom. But Crownshot now has to go for the knockback on Jezu. Jezu gets some good damage in with the poke forest, but not enough to dissuade any further push. Are they going to be able to grab the plate there with the explosive charge? No. So SK doing a good job of holding on. Treatz finally here, but they do give up the life of their support just to hold on. As Blue is going to sidestep on the stun there, trying to dash away, but he goes right back into the Darkened Blade. It's just not enough clean movement in the game to get out of that one.
Oh, you got to feel for Treatz here. He's just kind of juggling the losing lanes. Lilipp tries to sway them away on this 2v3, but Labrov's having none of it. Really good flash. I'd love to see the replay there. I think he flashed away from Jezu's arrow last second, despite him having three blight stacks. I think he probably would have died because his ultimate actually ran out. Good identification there, and Vitality just kind of winning out on all these lanes. And despite that Herald going down top and getting some gold, the gold only really goes to the Mundo Gwen. Leader. Good
stun. Leader, no Heartbreaker stack available. For Labrov in the area. Snips aren't going to connect, so Leader is able to walk away.
He is indeed, and it's going to be a trade-off for towers. I think Jenax can't take it. Crownshot's going to be the one to get the first tower of the game. Going all over to the Tristana. The two strongest members of Vitality in Rumble and Tristana are the ones who are fed. When this Rumble is the only AP damage on your team, that's huge if he's ahead in the early stages of the game. If he can actually get to his mythic item first before anyone or start building towards his second item, when the enemy team is building plated steel caps and full armor, he's just going to melt through everyone.
Exactly. And again, there will be games where the Rumble doesn't get ahead, and we talk about how this composition maybe doesn't have enough magic damage. But when the Rumble is doing so well, when he's ahead of both of the solo laners on the side of SK, Bofa, those solo laners, then it's not a it's just not a problem.
Did I throw you off there with the Bofa?
Yes, you did.
Oh, you just said it. I had to call it out.
Yeah, it
was a good one.
It's like compulsion, dude. You gotta get that checked out. Sadly for SK, there's not a lot of good news right now in the game. You're a minute away from Infernal. It's a 4K gold lead for Vitality. Their team composition very brutal in the fights, and as we highlighted earlier, a lot of poke from the side of SK. Poke kind of wants you to be pushing out these lanes. It wants you to be first to these objectives, and that's going to be a bit difficult for SK to do.
Yeah, that's a problem with a poke comp. You think of a poke comp when you're sieging a tier 2 tower, as an example. You know, when they try and step up to clear the wave, when you're trying to hit the tower, you poke them away, they have to basically take the objective. That's when you have setup. Now think of a dragon fight when you don't have setup. You have no vision around the dragon. What are you actually poking if you can't see it? So I think setup's really important this game. If SK are the ones behind, and they are, it's going to be really hard for them to contest these neutral objectives. This next dragon, they could opt to fight it, you know. Jezu just finished his mythic. I'm sure Blue is close to his Eclipse. But it's still very risky looking at how strong Selfmade and Crownshot is. They have so much burst damage, so much teamfight prowess. SK are going to have to poke them out before the fight starts.
You can see Jezu doing his best just to clear out mid, try to get back some semblance of priority. Lilipp forced to only go for defensive vision here, and it's a bit risky even at that. 3 members now on the bottom side just to make sure that he can step forward and start to clear out some of what Vitality are doing. But sadly, no sleeper for him, no sleeper for anyone outside of the Gwen.
Confusing play here from SK. They're not contesting the dragon whatsoever because they don't have setup observers. Could we see SK's vision? I don't think they actually see anything at all, so really hard for them to even walk in or poke. You don't really have any face checkers barring the Leona, who's only level 6 at 15 minutes into the game. And when a team is setting up for dragon like this and you know you can't contest it, you want a cross map. And a cross map can be many things. It can be towers, but it can be small things. You know, Lilipp could have just ran from base topside, put wards across whole of Vitality's topside jungle, and then they have some information to play with for the next couple of minutes, but they didn't actually do anything on this cross map. They actually just put pinks in their own jungle on bot side, which is not really going to do anything, and they tried to find their way in. Treatz might be in a bit of trouble here.
Rob now stepping forward. Selfmade behind, still only level 10, but still a level ahead of Treatz here. Hex Flash potentially going to come over the wall.
Yeah, look what Vitality's doing. Bot waves pushed in, mid waves pushed in. They're committing numbers towards top. SK can't respond. They're trying to defend the play again, but Vitality can just brute force it.
Selfmade going to back away. Ulti already getting out used from Treatz, but really not finding much effect. They do get the flash on the Selfmade, and that is something, but you can see Blue behind the clock on itemization means that he just doesn't do enough damage.
Yeah, Jenax has TP, so he can join this fight whenever. If you go too deep on the side of Vitality, it's really hard to fight. Szygenda might find Jezu here.
He can land all 3 Q procs.
Oh no,
Jezu. Oh, he's going to have some support here. Jezu just going to get absolutely popped here. Immediately they go in. That's the bomb. Treatz has got the mist for himself, but that's just about it. And even that's not going to be enough. It's a bounce house for Crownshot. Vitality finding the resets.
That's going to be mid tier 1, top tier 1, and Herald. It's all going to fall apart now for SK. Those picks should be enough for Vitality to snowball this lead to an even bigger one. Good pick up there. 5 members towards the top side. Jezu is just trying to get to mid-wave. He's even taking somewhat of a safe path at 15 minutes into the game. But no, 3 members of Vitality on a pink. Vitality in full control of the game.
And respect to Vitality for pushing their vision line up, for constantly looking for a little bit more, not just waiting for that Herald. Now they get a kill, a couple kills, and the Herald as well. And you can see Jezu There's just no way out.
There's not much he can do here, is there? There's no peel for him. Lilipp's not even there. He's flashing away, but they have dashes to close the gap. And the thing is, SK aren't really cross-mapping anything. They're just trying to defend every single play that's coming towards them. And Vitality are always going to be the ones pushing them back. Now, 3 towers have fallen, and they have the Herald to crack open these tier 2s. They're winning out on side lanes. Second item's coming in for Crownshot at 17 minutes, so it's going to be very hard for them to find a good fight.
Certainly is. You're going to have the Blade of the Rune King too as well on leader, which means there's just nothing Jenax can do. Blue wildly behind when it comes to itemization. Finally now getting that Eclipse. It is some good news, but overall, bit of a grim game here for the side of side of SK, excuse me, as Vitality just continue to push their lead forward.
I'll excuse you, kind sir.
I appreciate that.
No, it's okay.
I don't know how I would have reacted if you said you're not excused.
You're not excused. I'll never forgive you.
Wow.
Does that make you feel better?
Wow. No. What? Did you expect it to?
No, I don't know.
Here we are.
Out there.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. And I think Selfmade, we'll see if he just wants to throw an equalizer.
There's no flash. If Lilipp can flash ult him with the ultimate, he's going to die.
Szygenda's in the area as well. They're going to have to be willing to commit a lot. Proto Belt forward just to lay down the slow. No one else
communication
wants to walk through that ulti.
SK really scared to commit to that fight. Selfmade could have got flash ulted there by Lilipp, and they could have committed. There's no Zhonya's on him either, so he was pretty much dead. And that was a shutdown. They've missed their window, and they're just going to back off. I think I just said, I think he can ultimate flash his ultimate or something. God knows what I just said.
You wanted the flash Leona ult, yes?
Yes.
That's okay, cool.
What was the Leona called?
Solar Flare.
Solar Flare. Okay, I was thinking of Lunar Eclipse.
Like the Dragon Ball Z. We're talking about Dragon Ball Z, the TN move with the triangle and the... There you go.
Anyway, Vitality heralding mid there. So tier 2, that's going to fall. They can move to bot tier 2 afterwards if they want. Blue's trying to push out top, but they have 2 losing lanes right now. And Vitality, instead of moving towards bot, I think they're going to collapse top. Blue's going to have to back off. And that bot tier 2 is really low HP as well, so that should fall shortly. And yeah, Szygenda's just going top to push it in. Treatz might find... Okay, well, no, he's not going to find him.
Just going to use the knockback there.
He's knocking him back to avoid him from smiting it away.
And Caedrel, it's a 7k gold lead at 19 minutes. This is a massively dominant performance from the side of Vitality. They've just been winning out in all these skirmishes. And again, we look back to how this game started. It was some nice, aggressive use of some powerful level 1s to steal away a red buff. Everything from that moment on has been going downhill for SK. Selfmade immediately came back in this game. And credit to him for finding those early kills, for staying ahead in jungle pathing, for taking away the entire bottom side. And just feels like there's not a lot Treatz can do after that little brief moment of hope when everything just started falling apart in the lanes.
Yeah, there really isn't. The only form of engage that SK have is the Leona, so Lilipp needs to find something on the map. But even then, Vitality have numbers advantages. They have double TPs. They're ahead in every single role, so every fight's probably going to be a losing fight unless it's a pick. And SK, it's not like they outscale either. I think that the scaling side of things is not looking good for them either. If you have a poke composition, you don't have setup, and you're losing these neutral objectives. Third dragon's going to fall soon as well. The scaling, it's tough.
There is a world with a poke composition where you can one-shot Tristana, but we're not going to have time to talk about that. Szygenda now running for the hills. He has been locked in by the Varus ultimate. Selfmade laying down his ultimate, but Jenax, a very tanky boy. He's going to step forward. The rest of SK now on the retreat. It is a single pick on Szygenda, but that's a start for SK. The follow-up, the lockdown is there. Crownshot now going to get one and jump right back out.
Just as we're talking about it, it looks like SK finds some kind of fight. They're going to be able to fight this Ocean Dragon. Leader has teleport if they want to opt into a 3v4. He is going for it, but the rest of the members of Vitality are backing off.
Crownshot is very strong. If they can hit Jezu with...
Leader is looking for it.
Going invisible.
Just going to back off.
I think he saw in his heart of hearts the potential for a big play there, but I think it was the right call not to go for it.
Yeah, and Vitality, miscommunication there. You know, Leader's pushing bot, he doesn't even TP to the fight when it starts. Szygenda, we'll just see it again, it's going way too deep with Labrov. Crownshot's clearing mid wave, Leader's catching bot wave, Selfmade's around, but Szygenda and Labrov are all alone, 2 versus 4, so the pick happens. And from there, numbers advantage comes in. Blue TPs, Leader doesn't, so even then, 5 versus 3, they can just keep walking forwards. Crownshot does manage to trade one off onto Lilipp. Actually, Labrov falls, so it's a 1-for-2 trade, but importantly, they've taken away the dragon. So the Ocean Soul point denied from Vitality, and it's going to be around 10 minutes before they can find that Ocean Soul.
And denying that soul is important, and while it's not clear exactly how this game is going to look, with SK have a few more items under their belt, who is actually going to be able to outmatch who in these fights. Certainly Jezu and Blue are going to feel much better when they have their fully staggered mana mutants. That is going to be a spike, a moment where they can poke a little bit more, trade a little bit more aggressively, potentially do more in the fights to come. Similarly, Jenax is getting stronger and stronger. Looks like he's on his way to a Gargoyle Stone Plate. He is going to be, and you saw in the last fight, the Equalizer not doing that much to him. He is going to be a threat on the front line that is going to make a lot of these champions' lives a little bit harder.
But what you tend to see with Mundo in fights is when your carries are ahead, you just kind of walk past the Mundo half the time.
That's true.
The Mundo runs at you, and Labrov's just going to flash combo the backline, the Equalizer is going to come out, and Crownshot's just going to jump forwards. And if they can get that pick, the reset for the Tristana jump, the Viego, the Aatrox, then they can start to move forward. Second one member of SK falls, Vitality should be able to clean up. It's all about making sure you find that fight. You can all be ahead. You can have a big gold lead, you can have a dragon lead, but execution in fights is also very important despite the gold lead. And SK managed to win the last one, getting a pick before it started. Szygenda going too deep. I think Vitality won't let that happen again.
Yeah, but I do feel that the game has slowed down at least a little bit for now. Vitality, hard for them to just straight force the Baron at this stage. They do have a lot of sustained damage. If they get an opportunity to go for it, they can. But they've got Mundo pushing on the bottom side. Jenax just can continue eating up these waves. You can see his massive individual CS lead, and Vitality not really getting much back for this.
The big problem that Vitality has right now is Leader has no TP, so he can't go bot because then there's a risk that SK start Baron with Jenax TPing in. Yes, Leader would beat Jenax in bot lane, but he has to stay towards the top side. And Szygenda can't go bot because he loses, so Jenax can do whatever he wants in this bot lane. He can push it in, he's a level up, he beats Szygenda in the 1v1. Leader's the one who can beat him, but he just can't be there. So now Vitality have to force his TP somehow. Maybe they just want to push in this mid wave and start up Baron to force Jenax to TP, to force him to group, because right now, I think Vitality is just over-grouping.
Really focus on this objective. Maybe they just go for the hard force here.
They have to.
Don't have the vision necessary to do this, though. They've got 2 control wards, but maybe they cannot see. This single ward here, well highlighted by the observers, is so crucial. It reveals this attempt is going down. SK now collapsing as quickly as they can, but they burn through this very quick. That's 4 damage sources. Vitality just going to shred down the Baron, spotted the entire time, but SK caught napping.
Oh yeah, they are indeed. And SK trying to find something. Leader based with no TP. Equalizer used for the disengage. Vitality get Baron and they get out. Yes, Jenax has to push in bot. Yes, Leader has no TP to match him, but then they just force Baron. SK way too late to respond. Now they lost that TP and they lost Baron. So SK dropping the ball there.
And again, in isolation, Jenax doing a lot here. He just continues to push out all these lanes, but as a team, SK really not finding any greater advantages as a team. He's just going to ult and walk away on this one. And Vitality, now we get to see what they can do with the Baron buff. But Caedrel, I want to bring up a question. We've talked about it before. We've talked about it in Euphoria. We've talked about it on the broadcast. It's a simple question, which is this Vitality lineup going to make playoffs? We want your input as well. If you are at home, if you are in chat, you can vote yes or no, because yesterday they looked lost against Fnatic. They were getting outclassed. Today, they are absolutely demolishing SK from what we've seen so far. So where do you sit on the side of the scale?
It's hard to say. I think it's between Vitality and XL. I think the analyst desk was touching on that as well at the start of the show. I think it's definitely between Vitality and XL. Coming towards the end of stages of the split, when they face off against each other, that's going to be probably the most important game for each team respectively. I would, slightly favor Vitality at the moment. I would love to see Vitality in the best of 5, see the adaptations that they have just in terms of champ diversity. So it's hard to say, but I think they should be able to do it. But for now, they're definitely ahead in this game. 8,000 gold lead, have the Baron. Dragon spawning in 40 seconds, and they want to make sure this crack open this bot tier 2. Leader level 16, Blue is level 13. This side lane is absolutely unlaneable for Blue. And Jenax is the only real strong member that SK have.
And again, the difficulty of playing against this Vitality composition is, while yes, you do have poke, Vitality have so many resets. And a single member of your composition being behind is a vulnerable point. Lilipp only level 9. Yes, he's tanky to a certain degree, but doesn't even have the Anathema's chains yet.
Anathema's chains.
Thank you.
Good job.
I almost choked it, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I saw your facial expression. It looks like chat thinks they will. Pog.
And I think fair. The sheer talent on this lineup. And right now, Fnatic are not another middle-of-the-pack team. Fnatic are tied for second. So losing to them, not a sign that you're going to need to be worried about your playoffs run, but certainly a sign that you need to improve if you want to contest the top 4. Vitality going to grab their 3rd Drake of the game, and 8K gold lead just continues to grow. It's a slow and steady kind of advantage building here for the side of Vitality.
Yeah, they're already pushing their advantage out there. There's only 30 seconds left on this Baron buff, and they got themselves, what, a mid-tier 2 in terms of just towers? So top tier 2 still up. Szygenda's going to get caught again.
Szygenda locked up, and now he's just going to get taken out.
That's the 2nd time. Getting caught out position gives SK 50 seconds to work with, but they can't do anything with those 50 seconds, unfortunately. So it's just going to be a pick. Szygenda has TP to rejoin his team when he needs to. And Vitality's Baron buff has worn out. Their next objective is going to be this top tier 2. They should be able to get it in the end. A pick's a pick, but they can't really turn it into any objective.
Well, and finding a brief moment there, taking away the last few seconds of the Baron buff. But ultimately, just a kill. See where the gold goes, see what they can do with it. Obviously, both the Varus and the Jayce now 2 items into their build.
Just I think a surprisingly slow Baron from Vitality. Could have played it a lot more aggressive, and when I say that, I mean what they could have done is just kind of grouped up as 4 members, have 1 person on side lane, rumble ult the tower to force them to back off. You know, you have 2 immobile carries in Jayce and Varus that want to clear the waves. could just kind of ult the wave and then walk up and hit the tower. But in the end, they didn't do that. I think Jenax was a bit too tanky in their face, so they didn't want to risk it. And now the game's going to slow down a little bit more. 3 minutes, 50 seconds on the next Ocean Dragon for the Ocean Soul. Baron in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. I think Vitality is just going to hold control for now, maybe try to poke away at this top tier 2, and then look to turn to neutral objectives. Look at Leader on the camera. He is chilling.
Yeah, and again, Caedrel, I think that in a situation where Vitality are comfortably sitting higher in the standings, where they're not in a three-way tie for 6, maybe we see a more aggressive move. We've seen a much more aggressive Vitality in weeks past, but obviously with the kind of up and down schedule that Vitality have had, closing it out slow, playing it slow and sure, while it's not always the best way to play League of Legends, a safe win is still a win, and it's been rocky for Vitality, so I'm not going to knock it, you know? We've seen the 3-win streak, we saw the 1-2 start, but it has not been the greatest split overall so far.
It's been inconsistent, right? Beating G2 Mad Lions, losing to a Charlotte XL, you know, now losing to Fnatic, beating SK. It's really up and down for Vitality. Once they find that consistency, maybe Szygenda in the top lane is what they wanted and what they needed to find the consistency, but once they do, I think they should be a playoffs team, and that's the biggest question on everyone's mind. This win should be theirs. This game should be theirs. They should be able to push in top now. Baron up in 1 minute 20 seconds. SK, the thing is, Drakos, when we have these kind of games, I like to talk about what SK could do. But genuinely, their only real form of engage is Leona. They do get outscaled. They're facing an Ocean Soul, and they're just way too far behind right now.
Yeah.
The only realistic way that they could find the way back is if Vitality make mistakes. Yes, they have made a couple, and if they do make more, then SK gets some kind of Baron and turn it into an advantage. There's a world where they can come back. But for now, if Vitality just play it clean, keep these waves pushed in, keep the amount of deep vision that they have, as you can see on the minimap, that I'll just bring up here. Look at the deep vision that they have. The second SK leave their base, they know exactly where they're going. Just play around the deep vision and play for the neutral objective. That's their main goal.
And I think Caedrel, short of another game like Misfits G2, where you have this crazy Elder Dragon steal, that Elder Dragon buff, if you can get a fight while you have Elder Dragon buff, it is a game-changing thing. And we've seen that so many times, especially for a poke composition. But the fact that it's not only such a massive deficit on a poke composition where they want to have push, where they want to be the one sieging, the fact that there's also an Ocean Soul does make it feel like you're going to need a miracle from the side of SK to bring it back in this one.
Yeah, look at Crownshot's items and then look at Jezu. He's sitting at 4 items, i.e. Dominic's. Crownshot jumping to try and get some engage. Labrov's behind him. There could be a fight here. Leader needs to TP behind them on the red buff, I think.
Ulti goes wide. Labrov just tanking a ball of Jenax's damage, but immediately Lilipp steps forward. Treatz trying to get a little bit more fired back. Treatz going to find 1 kill. Now they're locking down Treatz. They're going to blow him up as quickly as he can with the stopwatch, keeping him out of this one for now. Leader, stolen Leona, now going to walk away. He has the reset on the Heartbreaker. He's waiting on it. He's going to go back to his team. Crownshot on a rampage. Vitality find a solid fight. Can they break into the base with it?
It's a 1 for 2, and Jenax is still alive. He should have his ultimate up soon. It's a pretty low cooldown at level 16. Treatz and Lilipp are down, though, so no smite, no engage. It's going to be a 3v4 contest for this Baron. Leader has the Guardian Angel. We'll see if SK can poke their way in. Chains of Corruption's coming up soon as well. They need to be careful, though. Crownshot free hits. I think he melts through everyone.
Blue and Jezu, though, big poke. Might not let him get in range to hit. He gets knocked out by the Baron, too. There's a fumble there, but it's not going to matter. They're going to be able to steal that one, and now they're going in for the fight immediately. The aggression comes out. Crownshot just bouncing through. Jenax running for his life. Eagleton goes down on a blue. Leader now on the chase. If there's anyone who can shred through this Mundo, should be the Viego. Leap forward on the Spectral Mach. Gargoyle Stoneplate to mitigate some of the damage the chase is here. Blade of the Rune King procs coming out, but Infected Bonesaw is coming back at him. Neither side able to make a bigger mark.
Yeah, Jenax's ultimate just came back up. Leader doesn't have the healing reduction to get through him. But that's Baron buff for the side of Vitality. Szygenda TP'd into this top wave. He doesn't actually have Baron himself, but he TP'd in to help out his team. SK think that they might have found him. Has to ultimate away. And meanwhile, all that's happening, Crownshot's taken mid-inhib, taking their bot side camps. 10 seconds on Dragon, and all the members of SK are on the top side of the map. That should be Ocean Soul for Vitality if Crownshot just takes his red buff and starts it.
Jenax no ultimate. Treatz using the last stacks, it appears, of his. Not sure if that cooldown is there, but did have it up in the previous exchange. Crownshot just walks in, he takes this one away.
Uncontested Ocean Soul. It all comes off the back of SK trying to contest this midway. Vitality go for the engage, and it looked a little bit shaky just of how fast Szygenda actually died. All 4 members of SK targeting him. Jenax split off to the side. What he's trying to do is zone away Labrov. He knows if Labrov gets into the fight and gets a combo, then they can start to jump forwards. Regardless, it's a 2 for 1. Leader gets out, 4v3, and they have teleport up in 40 seconds. Force the Baron. And when they force that Baron, SK, they just can't find a way in. They don't have engage. The poke goes wide, and Jenax doesn't have ultimate to be the front line.
Selfmade feeling good about this one. And again, he can't see the gold score, but he can see the items. And it's 4.5 for the Tristana. That should be more than enough. But he's at 10 stacks on the Medjais. He's got a death cap. He's got a proto belt as well. Lots of flat pen. Caedrel, again, Vitality just continuing to build a bigger and bigger lead in SK, holding on to hope as much as they can, but I do not think a Serelda's Grudge is going to be enough to stop Vitality from breaking this open.
Yeah, I think Vitality might dive this bot tier 3 if SK stay around to try and save it. Maybe not in this way, but the next one that's coming. Leader's pushing in mid and not even playing on top lane. They think they can end the game here through bot, through mid, pushing in the waves, going for the Nexus towers. They can use a Rumble Equalizer to zone them away. They could also play it safe and just base and go top now, but it's Vitality. Maybe they're going to stay around.
It's also a level 17 Tristana. Her range is just so big. She can walk forward with the Ocean Soul, take a few shots, just jump right back out, just like Crownshot did. And you can see, slowly but surely, they're breaking down this tower. They're the ones sieging in against the poke composition. Szygenda now going in. SK looking for the collapse once again. Now, the Alistar's been locked up. Maybe they can find him, but Blue just getting burned down. Selfmade in the midst of everybody. Vitality just beating them down with their wallets. There is no room for SK to play League of Legends on Summoner's Rift. That's the double kill for the Viego. Vitality from start to finish, making it look good.
Yeah, it's an absolute massacre, isn't it? Only Labrov dies, and he was low before the fight even started. You can't get the poke off because they have an Ocean Soul, so they're just healing through it when the waves come. Clean game from Vitality. It was slowed down a bit after they tried to get deep vision in the bot side. You know, Szygenda got caught out there. But regardless, good win. They only dropped the Dragon, they only dropped a couple of kills here and there, and from start to finish, they're in control.
Certainly were. Credit to Selfmade, adapting very rapidly on the pathing, able to find some of those ganks. And while there were a lot of resources put into kind of shutting Szygenda down on the top side, as much as SK kept finding picks on him, Vitality kept turning those picks into one team fights for the most part.
And the thing is, they had 3 winning lanes right from the get-go. Despite losing that early red buff, Selfmade gets 2 kills, bot lane gets a 2v2 kill. And then from there, it's just the early game's just in shambles for SK.
Absolutely is, but of course, key player of the game, who do you think on Vitality had the biggest impact in this one? At LEC on Twitter is the place. It is Selfmade, Crownshot, or Labrov.
Well, Selfmade, lots of damage on the Rumble. Had the Rabadons, big equalizers in the early game as well. Crownshot. Yeah,
pushed W a lot of times consecutively in fights, which is a sign that usually the Tristana is doing something.
And then Labrov just being a tank.
Being
and engaging. Alistar. Yeah.
Alistar things, just Alistar things. Hard to say. Of course, for Vitality, this was a very crucial win. Had to win this one. Cannot afford to lose against teams below you in the standings, but it was an expected win. They were the favorites, and we're going to soon hear from Crownshot his thoughts before Mad Lions and Schalke No Fear hit the Rift for our next game.
They are out there, waiting to be discovered. Some of them are big, and some of them are small. But that's the thing with ideas. They don't just come to you. To find them, you have to move. Kia, movement that inspires.
Systems are overloading. We can't risk another game.
We need to take a break and regroup.
We're starting to lose our mind. Captain, we cannot go back to Elo Hell. Last time it took us months to get out of it.
Initiate break protocol.
Hurry up!
Yes! Yes! I did it! We did it! We did it!
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Welcome back to the LEC as Vitality bounces back and takes over SK Gaming. Hey Crownshot, thank you so much for joining me. It's good to see you again.
Hello, yeah, it's good to see you as well.
And congratulations on the victory, because the casters were commenting that this was a crucial game for Vitality for the race for the players. But for you, how important is it that Vitality claims this victory, especially in now that you guys are back in the LEC studio?
For sure, it's very important. We had a rough game yesterday against Fnatic, but I think they're a very strong team. We also had 2 bad games against teams that were lower than us in the standings last week, right? So it's obviously very important to get the first win on stage. It helps with confidence and everything.
What did you personally or Vitality try to do different for this game compared to the last 3 games?
Well, I can mainly speak about the game yesterday. We were trying a different comp where I have a bit less agency in what I want or in what I can do, right? And today we just drafted something that gives me more freedom in the game, and it worked out well. Yeah.
And speaking of the drafts, another thing that we want to comment on is Selfmade's Rumble, because he has won the Kia Player of the Game. Can you tell me, even though it's a jungle player, how he has managed to turn the difficult early game around and pretty much take over SK Gaming's jungle?
Yeah, I mean, Oscar is very, very good at adapting on the spot. If like they invaded his top side and he just found a mid gank, and I think pretty much in all of the games that we played, he manages to find like an early play, or early gank, or anything like that. So he's always very creative. And after that and the bot lane 2v2 kill, we were pretty much in a fine spot no matter what happens, because we also scale very well. So we knew the game would be pretty easy after that point.
How is the communication between Selfmade or the rest of the players, or between the players in general, and has this synergy changed in any way now that you guys are playing back on stage?
I mean, it's always a bit. It takes a bit to get used to on stage, right? Because there's the white noise, and you hear yourself and the different environment. But I think Oscar always communicates well. He always knows how to adapt on the fly, as I said, and always has creative ideas. So we just listen to him, and him and Leader are always playing together and communicating a lot. So it's pretty easy.
What has been the team atmosphere been like, especially during the 3-game losing streak, if I may ask?
Yeah, I would say it's not that bad. I think everyone is mature enough to realize that it can happen sometimes, especially in BO1s. Teams can prepare different types of strategies, cheeses, right, you can say, or just unusual picks that can take you off guard. So we knew that as long as we play what we're good at and we get a draft that we're happy with, we should do good.
Thank you for your insights, and this is my final question. Earlier in the interview, several times you mentioned confidence, and recently I had a pleasure to talk to Mephisto in your team, and he also talked about the confidence vector in Vitality. Can you tell me more about this confidence that comes from Vitality and how it might be the factor that takes Vitality to the playoffs?
I would say that we aren't really scared playing against any team, as we showed with that we can pretty much win against everyone, but also lose against everyone. And I would say most of our losses, we just kind of lost ourselves. We either got too cocky and threw our leads, or we were just like we went head first into a wall, kind of. But like, of course, confidence has a very big upsides, but sometimes it can be like a negative thing. So we kind of need to control it sometimes to not be too cocky. But I would say that's a big reason we are the team we are. Yeah.
And once again, thank you so much, and best of luck for the rest of the LEC. Thank you, Crownshot.
Thank you very much.
And after the break, we'll be back with Mad Lions versus Schalke 04, so don't go anywhere.